Ooh, the most above average podcast in the galaxy.
Turn the light off, like your memory
Before we start today's podcast, I wanted to take a moment to say thank you. The most above average podcast in the galaxy is not sponsored by anyone. Everything that you see and hear is paid for directly by us. We do, however, have affiliate links, and the money that comes in from those affiliates does help pay for us to have more hosting platforms, better equipment so you can hear us better, so you can see us better. The money that comes in from that is just icing on the cake. We do this out of the pure love of just chit-chatting with each other and bringing on guests. If you would like for the show to continue, we ask you to support the ones that support us. Again, all the links are in the bio. And thank you, and we hope you enjoy. Boom. It says it's recording. I'm still getting used to this new software, but anyway, seems to be pretty promising. Welcome back. This is the most above average podcast in the galaxy. Now, back to the normal structure. Josh, I got a story for you. I feel like I always have a story at any given moment, but for sure, I definitely got one. So, let's see. This has probably been about 5, maybe 6 years now. I'm in my last house, and I'm in the backyard with my kid, and she's doing, something on a bike or whatever. And we're standing in the backyard on the side in between my house and then the neighbor's house on just like that little 4-foot little strip of concrete. And all of a sudden you just hear like a crack and another one and then a louder crack. And in the blink of an eye, this gigantic tree branch breaks off of the neighbor's tree and falls straight down heading towards my kid. And so just out of a reaction, I karate chopped the tree branch, which was at least like 8 inches around. It was heavy as shit. And I karate chopped it and I hit it with the bottom side of my palm. So I hit it. It stopped. I didn't, it wasn't like a cartoon where I broke the tree in half and I was like, oh, the power. I just hit it and it stopped and I went, ow, fuck. And then I told the kid to get out of the way and I let the tree branch fall. And then my hand was all jacked up and whatnot and bruised. But for like 2 years straight, everywhere we went, she'd be like, oh my God, my dad saved my life. And I'd be like, yeah, tell your friends. And so it felt really cool to see that level of joy and pride and just how proud she was that my dad is a hero. My dad saved my life. And the story never got, any fabrication from it. It was just a tree branch fell. I karate chopped it, told the kid, get out of the way. And then I complained that my hand hurt for a week. So it wasn't like one of those, wives' tales where like, oh, the fish kept growing. It was bigger and bigger. And next thing you know, oh, I caught a great white shark. Well, fast forward, she got tired of telling everyone, oh, my dad saved my life. And it just kind of got boring. I'm like, oh, shit, man. I need something to happen. I need some kind of excitement to regain this pride and this proudness that this kid has for me. So, what was it? About 2 weeks ago, we have a house in Tahoe, and we're walking through the neighborhood. We're going to go to the market. I'm going to grab a drink and get a couple things for dinner and whatnot. So it's just the kid and I. We're just walking down there. And it hasn't snowed in like 2 weeks. So the little bit of snow that was still out there was just that hard, compact ice. It's not snow anymore. They're just blocks of ice. And she's in like regular street, shoes and whatnot. And she's trying to pretend like she's this ice princess and she's sliding on the ice. And I'm like, dude, stop. You're going to slip and fall. And the nearest hospital without traffic is 45 minutes away. I'm not going to take you to the hospital for doing something stupid. And she's like, I'm fine. Being all snooty about it. And it's starting to piss me off. Now it's going on for like 15 minutes. I'm like, stop. You are going to fall. I'm good, Dad. I'm fine. And I'm just, it's festering now. Now I'm getting more angry. And so I'm like, dude, I'm not going to tell you again. Quit playing around because you're gonna fall. As soon as I said you're going to fall, I slipped in like slow motion and fell, and I landed directly on my forearm, my wrist, and my left hip. I hit the ground so hard, my wallet and phone exploded out of my pants and flew everywhere out there. And I just laid there really contemplating the choices that I had made in my life because I didn't know whether my arm or my hip was broken. And it was like, it's on a main road. You can't look cool like, oh, I just slipped and fell on ice. Like, what's up, ladies? No, that is long gone. And so she's so apologetic. She's like, oh my God, Dad, are you okay? Like, it's my fault. I shouldn't have been goofing around. I made you fall. I was like, no, it's fine. But then we're walking and I'm thinking about it and I'm like, I got to spin this. How do I become the hero and not the victim? I got it. So then when people found out that I fell on the ice and everyone's calling and asking, oh my God, are you okay? Did you go to the emergency room, whatnot? So I changed the story to make myself not the victim in this. Now I am the hero. So the story that I started to tell people to regain that sense of manliness was that Audrey and I are walking to the market to go grab stuff for dinner. And Josh, I'm not gonna bullshit you. A demon came out from the ground and I body slammed that motherfucker to save my kid. I'm the hero.
That is epic.
That's what happened. I saved her. I saved her life from a demon in Tahoe.
I mean, that's what I would have done the same thing. So
yeah, it's family. What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
because I just wanted to get a Celsius energy drink and get some meat to barbecue on the back porch. But here I am fighting demons.
We all do it every day.
Yeah. So it's a lot of work being a hero.
It's tough work. You probably earned that steak in Celsius.
I didn't even get the steak. I just got the energy drink and then I waddled my way home.
Waddle of shame.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was a guy working on some old beater in the front yard, and I was sitting there thinking, I was like, dude, like, this is a really nice area. That's a piece of shit car. And then there I am. And he's like, huh, bitch.
Yeah, you had that thought about it being a piece of shit car, and then karma came and bit you in the butt.
Yep, should have kept my negativity thoughts out of my own head, and there I was, laying on the ground.
Well, my friend, I have a topic for you, and I want your opinion on it.
Fire away.
I've seen it in on social media or in daily life. People doing stuff, certain sports or hobbies or activities, and they make it their entire identity. Okay, and I think there's pros and cons to that. What is your take on that? We'll call it from a professional sporting level, since that's who you coach. Do you see that kind of perception of people that you work with?
Well, so people can have a better understanding of what it is that you're talking about. Can you give an example? Like, who would the mass audience see and be able to recognize that situation with?
So I just experienced it with a good friend of mine, where they are a professional athlete in a downhill mountain biking sport.
Oh, shit, that sounds intense.
Yeah, where this person said that, their entire life is fixated on this sport and that's all they're going to focus on, and they don't have time for much else. And that got me thinking philosophically and kind of going over my thoughts on, have I done that with powerlifting? Have I done that with sports I've played? And then I really sat with it, kind of thought about it for a little bit. And I don't think I've ever considered myself fixated on one thing other than the gym itself. So maybe the gym in its whole. But even then, I don't consider it to be my identity. Like, I'm not a gym person. I just partake in the gym in my daily life. So lifestyle, but not a overreaching that defines me 100%, you know?
And it's a tricky thing because I've seen it for sure, absolutely. And especially like with the competitive side of, men's bodybuilding, which is what I primarily focus in on. Yeah, that happens a lot. And it's something that I work really hard with my people to not let happen, because you sit there and you see people, especially on social media, where they're like, oh, you have to be obsessed with it. Which, to a degree, yes, of course, it needs to be an obsession that you want to do this, that you need to do this, but there has to be balance. I think the biggest issue with certain sports, like bodybuilding is a tricky one because it's hard to call it a sport because it's such a lifestyle related thing, meaning that if you were, let's say, a soccer player and you didn't feel like playing soccer that day, you just didn't fucking play soccer. And it wasn't the end of the world. It wasn't like, oh, I didn't practice my soccer this one particular time, so it's going to backtrack. Whereas if you are a competitive bodybuilder and your food is off, your water is off, that snowballs into such a negative manner that you end up having to play catch up with later. So it's really hard to be an elite level athlete in any field without it, completely consuming you. However, you have to be able to find some kind of balance with that. But I do see it a lot. I see it way more in amateur bodybuilders than I do in professionals. So with amateurs, they get so fixated, and times have changed where it used to be, you competed, you turned pro, and back when it was really, really hard to get a pro card, it used to mean a lot when you were a pro. You got a pro card, and then you got a big contract with a supplement company or a magazine, something like that. Like it was a big deal that you were a pro. At the Universe in New Jersey, they give out 139 pro cards just in that one show, where it used to only be 4 pro cards for an entire year. So I don't want to say that you're saturating the market, and I get it from a business standpoint what they're doing, but it definitely changes the dynamic of what you're seeing in a competitive field. So with the amateurs, and they put everything into it, they shut out their spouses, and you see a lot of divorces in amateur and national level bodybuilders because they're going to make it big. Like this is their big break, and they got to give everything. And so they push the significant other to the side, they push the family to the side, the kids, the parents, whatever it may be, and they become super selfish. And while bodybuilding is a relatively, you can make the argument that it's a selfish sport, it does require a large team around it to make it successful. So I see the people getting lost in it from the side of people that don't make anything from it. The people that have turned it either into a blossoming career or do it just at a professional level, and they may have other forms of income, they're able to stay committed, stay focused, but that's not their identity. They have other endeavors that they want to do. They're not, oh, this is the only thing that I do. This is who I am. I can't do anything other than this. Mm-hmm. Those people get burnt out. It'd be like a med student only talking about med student related things. You gotta have some kind of break. You gotta retard your brain to some degree. So to answer your question, I do see it, but I only see it from, not to sound mean, but I only see it from the side of people that have no business doing that.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think that's kind of overcompensation to make it to that higher level, and so they think they have to be this super hyper focused all in mentality?
Yes, and I had a younger guy on my team who I tried to steer away from that, and I was like, bodybuilding is great, don't get me wrong, I love it. I've turned it into a blossoming career. It's given me an entire life that I would have never thought that was even possible, but there's a lot of suffering that goes with that. And this particular individual had incredible opportunities presented to him, and he pissed them away. And he went from being able to, someone was paying for all of his MLO, which is loan officer license, stuff. In the time frame that we did his contest prep to where we are now, which is 2 years, 2.5 years, something like that. If he had stayed the course with the advice that I gave him, he would have had his loan officer license. He would have been able to set up his own practice. He would have been able to have a team of people underneath him, and he would have never actually had to do any real work and would have collected more money than he knew what to do with. But here he is wearing a name tag, working for slightly over minimum wage, and he hates his life. He hates it. I know this for a fact because he just called me the other day to complain about how much he hates his life. And I had to be very honest with him. I said, you did it to yourself. Everybody gave you a helping hand and then some, and you pissed it away. You only have you to blame for it because you were so obsessed with this idea that just wasn't even feasible.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and that's an unfortunate reality. Sometimes self accountability is hard, and so looking in the mirror and going, "Hey, I fucked up," or I made that mistake. But it's how we respond to it, I think, is important. So he could still, make certain things happen. I think if he hates it that much, obviously action is going to help him get somewhere else. But
yeah, and it sounds like I gave him a little tough love, and he's starting to make things happen. He's trying to put some plans into action, which, in all honesty, I really, really hope he can turn it around because he's a great guy. He really is. Mm-hmm. He does everything with a heart on his sleeve, but he's just got to get out of his own way. But I took a big step away from competitive powerlifting. I didn't make it like a huge public ordeal, but this is what we're in 2025. This is my last year that I'll be doing any powerlifting coaching for new athletes. I'm not going to kick anyone off the team. I've got a couple people that I still help, but I'm not going to take on any more new people. I just don't have the passion for it. And for me, there's no challenge. So I just, I've already accomplished everything that I could as a coach as far as powerlifting goes. So I just stopped caring. But I never really noticed that much of the obsession from competitive powerlifters, at least the ones that I knew anyway, the ones that were doing very well, that were actually breaking records and whatnot, live normal day-to-day lives, and they just like to be strong in the gym and carry on and eat burritos.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see it with a couple folks that I've known personally but I think it kind of falls under that kind of what you were referring to when you spoke on bodybuilders in the amateur ranks. Some of these people are very similar to that, where they're strong. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they definitely lift weight, but they don't really do much with it. It's more of a gym thing. Compete. Maybe once every other year. And so I see it a little bit, and kind of what I'm seeing lately with powerlifting is a lot of the top people, no one in particular, but just I'm kind of seeing a trend where, they just think they're hot shit, and at the end of the day, we just lift weights, and so I just see this inflated ego shit, and it's just driving me nuts. Like, and then it's I gotta beat people. Like I think we've talked about it on prior podcasts, but why not just be better than you were the day before? It drives me nuts. Like, I understand being competitive, but putting other people down because we lift weights is silly to me. And so that's more so what I see on the powerlifting side.
Yeah, I think with that group of people, and not everyone, obviously not everyone, but a good majority of people, the idea of lifting angry seems to be such an enticing thing because it's essentially an unlimited fuel source. You can make yourself so angry over nothing and just completely fabricated things too. I'm guilty of that. I did that when I was just bodybuilding before I had a kid, and just fabricate just the most bizarre things. You'd look at people in the gym and be like, I bet that guy doesn't even pay taxes. Fuck that guy. So just stupid stuff like that. But what an unlimited fuel source to just be so negative all the time, thinking that it's going to give you this advantage, this fuel, this I don't even know, this secret energy that they're trying to accumulate. I was just sitting here thinking, so I used to do another podcast back in the day with my good friend Dallas Walden, which is called Dallas and I at the Whiteboard. I think those episodes are actually still somewhere posted online. Anyway, the gym that he used to own down in the San Francisco Bay Area, upstairs he rented out to an Olympic coach for endurance cycling. And this guy, I mean, he had several riders that had gold medals in the Olympics. He was big deal shit. And I remember seeing those athletes, and I think that's a great example of what we're talking about is people that competed at that level, that they rode for hours, then they're training. That style of training is no joke, man. I'd watch those people and I was just in awe. I just couldn't believe what their bodies were capable of doing. Fascinating. But even then, you know, people that competed at that high of a level for that one particular sport, yes, they were very dedicated and they gave their lives to that. But they didn't go around, you know, I'm an endurance cyclist. I ride for 6 hours a day. I have major calves. You know, it wasn't that kind of thing. They were just like, I like to ride. I like to ride fast.
Yeah.
It's like watching Ricky Bobby get interviewed. I don't really know what to do with my hands.
Yeah, I think that that kind of speaks to it a lot. I think those high-level people are very, not all, but most, I think, are more humble. And they actually downplay what they do because it's what they love to do and it's a passion and they find the enjoyment in it. They don't need someone to pat them on the back and say they're doing a good job because they just enjoy doing the sport. Yeah. So I think to bring it back a little bit, I think overall, I think you need to be dedicated enough to pour as much energy as you can into something if you love it and you want to succeed into something, but also understand that you need to pull back and have balance within your life, or else you're going to get consumed by the sport itself or just anything in life, really. So I think finding that balance is highly important.
Now, you and I have been around for many, many moons. I feel like we've gone through a majority of the motions. You know, we've been doing this for a long time as athletes ourselves, then, you know, branching off into the coaching realm and whatnot. When you were younger, when you still had hair, looking back, would you think that you were obsessed when you started to fall in love with being strong? Or has it always just been like, hey, that's just something fun, but I'm going to still go do my stuff over here?
That's interesting because when I was younger, growing up, always very small. Like I think the biggest I was like 165, 170 pounds in high school. And prior to that, I was bullied a lot, and then I had a lot of family
You're
stuff.
6
I think
foot?
we've talked about it prior, but so my thing was I want to be big and strong and kind of scary looking, hence the tattoos and all that stuff. So I didn't get bullied. And I didn't really realize I was doing this subconsciously until I got into meditation and put the mirror in front of myself and studied myself and found out who I was. But yeah, a lot of this was kind of subconsciously developed. And then once I got stronger and bigger, and then I wouldn't say earn like respect from it because I don't really care about that. It's more so like people noticed that if I said I was going to do something, more than likely I accomplished it, and I liked that. So there was no real obsession because even now, I mean, I'd make the joke that I'm semi-retired from powerlifting. I still love to lift heavy. I enjoy it. It's fun. But I still do other things, even though I say I'm kind of boring and I just go to the gym and come home and eat and sleep. But I mean, I do my leather crafting. I do, I go bouldering from time to time. So I'd have other things that I like to do. So even when I was in the thick of it, competing, once a year, I never was obsessed. I liked being strong and I love it. And I feel like if I miss some lifts, I feel like a little pussy. But yeah, I don't really think I was ever obsessed with the actual thing. It was more so just seeing what my body was capable of that I would find the obsession in.
So I know that you've said that you've been semi-retired for quite a while. We have a mutual friend, and I haven't seen him in, I guess it's probably been a couple months now, but the last time I saw Chris Ramos, he will swear up and down that he is stronger than you.
That's okay. we still got to get a squat off together, so yeah, he knows what's up. That's all right.
Chris is strong for sure. And
He's very strong.
It'd be a fun battle to watch. Like with me, I'm a fan. You know, I've said this for years. Like I'm just a fan. Like I just think that it's amazing what we can do with our bodies and whatnot, whether it be strength related with powerlifting, strongman, bodybuilding, whatever it may be. Like I'm just a fan. Like I just want to be part of it, and that's why I'm so blessed with what I get to do. That I get to have friends that are as amazing as you guys. And so when he's like, "Oh, I'm stronger than Josh," I'm like, I kind of want to see it. Make it happen. I'll be
He's
there.
never said that to me, so.
Oh, I know he hasn't. No, but I keep waiting because he's like, oh, you know. He's like, oh, you know, Josh got good deadlift, but, you know, I can beat him on squat.
Yeah, okay, he can only beat me on squat because he wears fucking 6 plies of fucking gear, so I don't want to hear it.
I don't, you know what? I really like Chris. I've known Chris for years since, I mean, back in the day before I got kicked out of Dan Green's gym. Fuck that guy. No, like, I don't think I've ever actually seen in person. I gotta say that in person. I have not seen him in person squat something really heavy that wasn't a reverse band. And you could make them, he's like, oh, you know, it's only 50 pounds at, you know, the bottom, whatever. That may be, but I've never seen it. So
I know, because I know I think he said he squatted a raw squat of like 700, I think. Which is awesome. I mean, I think my best squat was 639, raw at 220. And he weighs a little less than me still, but no, I mean, he's doing some cool numbers.
5 inches shorter than you.
Yeah, a little less range of motion. But I think he just did like 860 plus some band or chain. I can't remember what he just did. I mean, he's strong. Like I won't take it from him. I still think I can beat him.
Or was he wearing the full getup?
I think it was briefs and knee wraps. Now, like I said, this dude is messing with like a triple ply brief. Okay, every time I train with him, it's a multi-ply brief. Yeah, that's heavily stretched out. Like my shit's loose. Yeah, and I like it that way because I'm actually still training my strength. I don't want to rely on the gear too much because to a degree, learning the gear gets you stronger, gets you more weight lifted. But when you wear too much shit, I think that just throws you off, and you're not actually like learning it to manipulate the gear to do what you want it to do is one thing. I think it's an awesome skill set. But I also lean more towards like you have to be fucking strong, and wearing too much shit I think takes away from that ability.
Yeah, and for, you know, like I said, like I really enjoy Chris. I think Chris is a lot of fun just to be around. He's good people, and it boggles my brain that he is so dedicated, even with the injuries and everything that's going on with his body, that he's still willing to just go in there and just go full balls out consistently. I'm like, man, kudos to you, because I'm a vagina. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it especially with multiply, man, that stuff gets pretty gnarly. Like raw strength is one thing. I think raw is awesome, and you know, belt and knee wraps is awesome. I mean, that's how I competed when I first got into the sport. But there's something about multiply that is just, it's top tier to me, simply because yes, you're using equipment, yes, you're using a squat suit, a deadlift suit, and layers of shit, but you have to be so technically sound and strong. So I think it's playing on your training philosophy. How do you train it? Because you're overloading 100 and something % every time, because you can do that with the gear damn near. So you have to manage your fatigue. You have to manage the mental stress, cortisol levels, all that stuff, because you're literally running your body down like crazy if you're training it, pretty consistently. That's why my step away from it for a while. I mean, I'll put my gear on and just my briefs really. When I go deadlift down there at Untamed, once in a while. And if anything, I think I'm stronger now because I can be, yesterday I benched 505 to a one board in my F8 little slinger thingy.
Yeah.
It's a pretty close feeling to my shirt, so I like to train with it where I don't have to put my shirt on all the time because I hate bench shirts. But I mean, I haven't put that thing on for heavy work in months, and I can go down there and hit 505. So I think being out of it more, training the hypertrophy with some raw strength, on the big three movements, is carrying over really well. I'm seeing better carryover than when I was in my gear constantly. I just was worn down. My hips were fucked up. Shoulders were banged up, elbows, all that stuff. So, and I think that's inherently going to happen because it's just the nature of the beast. But I think managing that is the challenge. Like, how much stress do you put on your body, but also know when to pull back? Just once again, back to balance, right?
Yeah.
So,
Look at that. We made like a full circle. It's almost like we know what we were doing.
I'm winging. I don't know shit. I pretend like I do.
I'm still amazed people even ask me for any questions. I just Google everything.
Yeah, Google it.
Google.
Or YouTube
it. Yeah. They're like, hey, man, how do you peak someone for a contest? I don't know. Let me Google it real quick.
Oh, God, I've seen
The
that
internet
before.
says more trend.
Duh, that's always the answer. Hello. When in doubt,
Don't do that because you end up with fat chicks.
Fat
allegedly.
chicks. Oh, I mean, they need love too.
Yeah, but they got to pay.
It's a pay to play, huh?
Well, I'm trying to remember. I wish I could remember where I heard this. It was funny because it's true. He was like, hey, man, how do you make 5 pounds of fat look sexy? Put a nipple on
No
it.
idea.
Did you not hear it?
No.
Oh, it said put a nipple on it.
Okay. Oh, shit.
Well, my friend,
Dad jokes.
before we wrap it up, do you have... Okay, I'll give you the option because I'm very generous. You can either give advice or you can give a joke.
Well, I'm shit at jokes. Not even that funny. So, what kind of advice do you want? That might be
Life
funny.
advice. Anyone can find fitness and lifting advice all over the interweb, but we're above average. We don't do that.
Okay, so the advice that I've recently followed, due to my, the transition from I guess what we talked about last time, the corporate job to doing my own thing is, can't remember who the quote was by, but it said, if it scares the shit out of you and it's going to risk a lot of your comfortability, do it. And I will say this transition was a little bit scary, just because I've never done it before, and sat on it for about 3 months, deciding if I was going to go over to this other gym and do my own thing. And I just kept seeing stuff, on social media or just in life in general, in daily life, little synchronicities of take the risk. Don't worry, on the other side of fear is what you need to go to, right? So I would say taking that leap of a little bit of uncertainty with some calculated risk was definitely scary. So I would just say, man, do the shit you're afraid to do. If it seems scary, if it seems like an obstacle that's just standing in your way and you don't know if you can get over it, fucking break that thing down. See what's on the other side.
Fear is a great motivational tool. I mean, we've talked about this previously, is you need the fear for sure, because then you know that you're doing it right. Like if it's scary, there's a reason for it. But when you look at calculated risk, think about it. What's the worst that could happen? For a situation like you leaving the corporate job and going to go do your own thing, what's the worst that could happen? It flops, so you go back to doing exactly what you were doing. But you're going to miss 100% of the swings that you don't take.
Yep.
I did it. I left, I did all sorts of other jobs before, I went and became my own boss, and oh my God, terrifying. Because I still remember this. I sent you a message, it was like almost 2 years ago, and I told you that I had lost $6,000 in recurring revenue.
Yeah.
And while I was still able to pay all my bills and do everything like that, but just to have that kind of, a loss. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, I need to shut up, because there's people that don't make $6,000 a month, and I'm still able to pay all my bills and do everything, and I can still live. Like, yes, I gotta really tighten it up, but I'm still alive, I'm still healthy, and I'm still blessed. So you just got to embrace the suck. Someone told me recently, they're like, you need to be thankful for your problems. Man, that hit heavy.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think I piggybacked on your thing. So instead of giving more advice, I will leave you with a joke, my friend.
All right, let's hear it.
It's going to be stupid.
That's okay.
How come Barbie never got pregnant?
She's plastic and not real.
No, because Ken came in a different box.
All right, that's stupid, but still kind of funny.
It was very stupid.
Dirty old man joke.
Yeah, that's exactly who told it to me.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, my friends. We're going to wrap that one up.
All right. Awesome, brother.
Adios, amigo.
See you.